Hello, 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 and welcome to the Coronacast comedy show here with me, Deliso Chaponda, episode 71. If it's your first time tuning in, this is a show where I, Deliso Chaponda, stand-up comedian from Malawi, entertain you from my kitchen. Because of COVID, we have no live entertainment, but we're not going down without a fight. So jokes coming to you from me to entertain you for the next half an hour or so. Today's episode is an episode with jokes based on the news from the last week. It's been a very eventful week. All I can say before I get started is if you enjoy the show, please be vocal. I am just a man sitting and chatting to the universe in his kitchen. So if you find something funny, please laugh. Please put LOLs. Please ask questions. I'll do a joke, I'll look at the chat, I'll do another joke, I'll look at the cat. Rinse and repeat. Okay? So let's get started. Before I get started, let me just take a look at the people in the chat room. Hello. Jenny Craddock, glad you've come in and glad you appreciate the little pause. Good to see you too. Hello, what music is the panda listening to? So actually the panda has decided that I am not funny, doesn't want to listen to the Coronacast anymore. So right now, the panda is just playing heavy metal, which is music which I do not enjoy. But hey, everyone's got their own taste. Oh, give me 1 second. I have a little video camera that is filming this as well that I forgot to press yes to. I'm just going to start it up and then I'm going to start the show. Don't go anywhere. I am just positioning the video camera because there is going to be an HD version which goes on YouTube. So to make that possible, I'm also recording it on a video camera. Okay, let's get started. Let us get started. May the games begin, and hello Doodle Days, my biggest fan. Everybody, let's get started with a Coronacast comedy look at the news. So first, let's get rid of that. Oh no! How's that? This is why there's going to be an edited version online later. If anyone's irritated by me tweaking things, that is why. Okay, let's get started and then let's get the images up. Okay, enough technical malarkey. Let's get started with the news, ladies and gentlemen. So we begin with a story out of the UK, which I think is absolutely hilarious. A man with a horse and cart was refused service by Kentucky Fried Chicken and expressed his displeasure. So he rolled up in that horse and carriage. He rolled up in that horse and carriage and wanted to buy a bargain bucket. And I understand he spent all his money on the horse so he can only do bargains. And KFC turned him away and said that he was a health and safety risk to the other customers. First of all, if you are going to Kentucky Fried Chicken, you are not interested in your health and safety. So already they're lying to this man. I can only imagine his displeasure, but there was a full interview with him and he said KFC refused to serve him, but he went down the road and McDonald's did serve him. So if any of you have got a horse and carriage and are looking for a place where you can be served, McDonald's is the place for you, but be careful. You need to be in there, get your burger, and leave quickly, because as we know, if you leave your horse, it may end up on the menu and end up being a Big Mac. So, I think that's all I have to say about that, pretty much. But I think they should have served him. I definitely think they should have served this fellow. Hello, my brother, to Dusu Games. Good to have you here. We are looking at the news, taking a funny look at the news. Can you spend me some money, Dusu Games? Yes, you can. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say for anybody who wants to spend money on the stream. Oops, that's not it. That's there. You see how bad a businessman. I should have said, if anyone like Dusu Games want to spend money on the stream, you can tip me for the laughs at kofi.com/DeliSochaponda. That's ko-fi.com/DeliSochaponda. No amount is too small or too big. Much appreciated, Dusu Games, for wanting to contribute to the show. Okay, let's keep going. Next story from the week, ladies and gentlemen, is from one of the most absurd stories of the week. So Poland accidentally invaded the Czech Republic. This happened this week. How was this not in everyone's news? They accidentally invaded. How do you accidentally invade a country? This is like when I told a woman, oh, I accidentally, wrong hole. You know, that was just a mistake. This is not a mistake that a person makes. Now, let me explain what happened. So Polish soldiers at the border between Poland and the Czech Republic moved 30 meters into Czech soil, put up a roadblock in front of a church, and when Czech citizens came, they said, no, you can't come because of social distancing, you're not allowed in. It's very weird. What is going on in that church? Immediately, the conspiracy theorist in me is like, what the hell is going on in that church? And Poland, you are accidentally invading a country. Do you not remember what happened when a country invaded you? We all ended up at war. Don't mess with this kind of thing, Poland. But what totally shocked me and what totally amazed me is that this is not the first time this has happened. There's a long history of countries accidentally invading each other. My favorite two was 2018. These aren't even old stories. 2018, Nicaragua accidentally invaded Costa Rica because of Google Maps. Google Maps made an error, so the Nicaraguan army, instead of being on their land, were on Costa Rican land. And then the most hilarious version happened in 2002 with the British Army. When the British Army were doing military exercises where they were going to storm the beach of Gibraltar, which was at the time a British protectorate, right? Instead, they misread the map and instead charged onto the beaches of Spain. They thought that Spain was Gibraltar. At the same time, though, Spain, it serves you right. After all, you don't know how to read maps either. Christopher Columbus thought he was in India. I think he used the same sat-nav as the British Army. So that's the next one. Let's keep going. Hello. Whereas Mitchell says, where am I from? So that's a very complicated question. So Whereas Schmidt asks, where am I from, my friend? So I am from Malawi in Central Africa, but I am streaming from the UK, from Manchester in the UK, which is where I live. So that's the story behind me. Let's see what other things we have in the comment. Thank you so much, those of you who enjoyed, and I'm glad I'm your favorite streamer. I've only been streaming for around 2 months since the beginning of COVID, so I'm glad you enjoy me. Very, very much my pleasure. Thank you so much. They did not have GPS, says LG Sand. They did not. They definitely did not. Let us keep going. And Dave Arnold, I will say hello to your hometown of Manchester. Okay, we go on to the next story. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the story close to my heart, close to all of our hearts. Because right now, because of the coronavirus, sex workers are having a hard time, right? Sex workers are having a hard time paying their bills, making money, because of course, you cannot have sexual incidents with social distancing in play. So a lot of sex workers are having trouble just paying their bills. And this picture, which I've chosen, was actually part of a sex work march, which, as you see, there's this woman holding up, sex work is real work. And yes, sex work is real work. Sex work is definitely real work. In fact, I think sex work is harder work than most work we do, right? If I've had a tough day, I had an audience who I was trying to make laugh and they did not laugh. Think of any of you, no matter what your job is, think of what your worst day is and compare it to the worst day of a sex worker, and I think they win. Sex work is definitely real work, and they're having trouble because of COVID. Switzerland to the rescue. So a coalition of Swiss sex workers have now proposed that they want to limit customers to 2 positions in order to limit the coronavirus spread. So they are saying that they are only going to permit 2 positions which will maintain a safe distance between the face of the client and the sex worker. So doggy style and reverse cowgirl. I love the fact that they've written this in a document which has been sent to legislators, which means that they are actual legislators, members of parliament, who have to look over this document and say, do you think that they are right? The doggy style will stop the spread of the coronavirus? Oh my Lord. And not only this, they are saying, did you see that? Did you see that? Ladies and gentlemen, behind me, clearly the panda does not think that that is funny, because behind me, the panda just, hold on. Oh, the panda just threw the earphones to the floor, so I have no idea what's going on. Let's keep going. So ladies and gentlemen, what was I saying? I was talking about the sex workers before the panda threw his earphones to the floor randomly and threw me off. This is the unedited version. The edited version will be on YouTube. Okay, so let's try that joke again, because I have to do it all in one so that it will be as a whole on YouTube. Okay, so sex workers, not only are the sex workers suggesting 2 positions, they've got other ways to minimize the spread of coronavirus, such as ventilating the rooms, right, for 15 minutes after each customer and washing the sheets after each customer, which actually troubles me, because weren't they doing that anyway? Weren't they washing the sheets between customers anyway? What a troubling thought. Well, if any of you have ever been tempted by sex work, this is yet another reason to maybe reconsider that, because you are using old sheets. Other thing which they're suggesting is they're suggesting that their customers will all have to wear gloves, masks, condoms, and use disinfectants, which is bad news for most people. But for those few people whose niche fetish is gloves and masks and disinfectants, this is the greatest time that they've been waiting for. So that's that story. So before we continue, let me take a look at the chat. Dharma Karma Star says, bring latex into it and you are happy. I am sure latex is entirely possible to be added to the menu. Next up, what do we have? Black gloves indeed, says Guy Stefan Amar Zureth. Can I just ask you, Guy Stefan Amazureth Yoka Aka, where is your name from? You sound like, you know, the Bride of Cthulhu or something. You've got an amazing name, Amanzureth. I love it. It sounds like a magical spell from Harry Potter or something like that. Jenny Craddock said that the panda heard the word sex and wanted to hear what I was saying, so threw the microphone. I am not kidding you. It was like there was a poltergeist behind me. I wanted to move this so you could see, but clearly I don't know how to. Aha, you see? The panda just threw the earphones to the floor. Wow. Some people would blame gravity. I blame my flat poltergeist. Let's go on to the next story. Thank you so much, everybody who is in the chat room. As always, there's only 2 more stories, so if you have any questions, if you have any comments, now is the time to ask them. because I'm only going to look at the comments twice more between the next stories. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, all over the UK, shops have reopened. There have been very, very long queues at Primark, or as I like to call it, Noah's Primark, because people are going in 2 by 2. Could you imagine if that's what it's going to be when it's the end of days? Because I think we all know that it's currently building up to the end of the days. We've got earthquakes, we've got pandemics, we've got riots, and maybe the only people who are going to be saved are the ones who go 2 by 2 into Primark. Instead of it being Noah, it's just going to be a chav called Brian, who has been told to get 2 people of every race, 2 people of every gender, 2 people of every sexual preference, and to save those people to keep the human race alive. Right? Oh gosh. But it also made me think. Actually, the second joke wasn't very funny. Something about milk. Hopefully it wasn't brilliant. If I remember it, I'll bring it back later. Let's go on to the next one. Next thing we got to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is over the weekend, there were demonstrations in the UK. Now, those of you who are not in the UK might not know about this. These were not the Black Lives Matter demonstrations. These were counter demonstrations from people who are pissed off at Black Lives Matter, particularly the fact that Black Lives Matter, several statues were removed. So these people call themselves the Statue Defenders, which sounds to me like the shittiest superheroes ever. I mean, they're like, we are the Statue Defenders. We fight for stationary stone relics that cannot fight for themselves. And when you take a look at the footage of these people, actually I didn't take a good picture of them, but if you Google them, just take a look at these people. Do they seem like people who are interested in the natural history of the UK? They are not people who I'd have thought are fans of museums and of their heritage. And a lot of people were very angry. One of the things they kept saying is that, you know, by removing all these statues, we don't care what the history of this person is. Maybe they owned slaves or something like that. By removing these statues, you're trying to delete history. Cheeky bastards, suggesting that removing the statue of someone who owned slaves is deleting history. When, do you know what slave masters used to do? Slaves were not allowed to speak in their own language. They were not allowed to discuss their own history. They were not allowed to pray to their own gods. If that's deleting history, not tossing a statue into the water. But look, I was trying to think about it from their point of view, okay? Because I don't want to just judge them. And I was trying to think about it. And I think the best way I can think of it is, you know, if you have family Christmas photos, and we all have family Christmas photos all around, and then you find out that in one of your photos, you find out that, oh, one of your uncles was the molester uncle, right? The molester uncle who was fiddling with all of the nephews when no one was looking. Would you keep up that photograph? Even though it's a happy, beautiful Christmas and he gave everybody gifts. Would you keep up that photograph? Because that's what it is, right? That's exactly what it is. Now, if you're someone who would keep the picture of the molester uncle because you're like, hey, it's part of my heritage, it's part of my past, then I argue not, because it's more important. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so we've got more questions here. No thuggery today, just a scuffle. Exactly. Dharma Karma Say brings out the fact that when the Black Lives Matter protests in the UK, which in the UK were very peaceful. The rest of the world, there was some rioting and some chaos in America, but even there, it's 95% peaceful. But here, it was like 99%. It's entirely peaceful. And there were people saying, oh, this is thuggery. And then when these Britain's first skinhead types, not that I have a problem with skinheads, as you can see, I'm a fan of the fashion choice, if not the politics. A lot of people were like, oh, not really talking about it with the same aggression that they talked about the Black Lives Matter protests. Okay, let's keep going. Banvrav PO 1809 says, Haya Nimekufa. Now, what language is Haya Nimekufa? I do not understand. I assume you're just saying hello, and good to have you here. Excellent. Hello, Blockade News. You saw me at BGT. How am I doing? I'm doing fine. My life is a little bit weird because of the corona and the time of corona, but you know, I'm coping, and I'm coping better than most, so I cannot complain because I have savings. I have friends who do not have savings, so life is harder for them. Excellent. How else are we doing? You needed that today, Jacqueline Boylan. Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad you got the laugh. There's only one more slide left, so get in your questions really fast. Doodle Day says, what was it like being on BGT? I've talked about this quite a lot. It was a delight. I had a blast, and it changed my life. No complaints. It was stressful at times, but it was wonderful. And if I had a time machine, I would go back and do it again because I had a great time. But also, if I went back in a time machine, I'd tell everybody, Corona's coming! Corona's coming! Hey, I wouldn't leave you guys down. We could be preparing years ago. Excellent. Banav Raj says that it means I'm dead. I love the fact that I'm dead is what you must be a young person, because I'm dead is a way that young people say they appreciate something or funny. I'm dead. Well, I'm glad I made you die. Excellent. Okay. You came late. It's been funny for the short time you've watched The Dank Raccoon. Glad you enjoyed it. And anyone who only watched the end of the stream, the full stream, not even the full stream, the stream without the chat to the groups, just the jokes, are going to be an edited video on YouTube tomorrow morning, so you can catch up on the jokes you missed tomorrow. Excellent. I know! Dharma Karma Star says we could have at least got laid beforehand if I warned you. That's the worst thing. Those of us who live alone have been months. It's been 2.5 months, people. There are cobwebs down there for me. It's entirely unacceptable. And now the UK has said you're allowed to have one person in your social bubble. I have never been on Tinder as much, saying, come on, let's expand the bubble. I'm looking for a bubble twin. And I think maybe the desperation isn't helping, because I've never had as hard a time trying to pick up people on the internet. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, glad you will watch the video, The Dank Raccoon. Okay, excellent. Let's do the final one, which is again on the subject of the statue defenders and the statues. So, I don't know how to say it properly, but there's a heavy metal group called GWAR, right? And they have started a petition to say that Oderas Urungus, who is this character in the image right now, a statue of them should replace the Confederate statues in America, which I think is absolutely hilarious. I think it's a great idea. But more than that, I actually think this is the way to make the removing of the statue something that everybody enjoys. Why don't we turn it into a reality show, right? Let's do a series of Who Wants to Be a Memorial, or Britain's Got Sculptures. In America, instead of America's Idols, you can have Craven Idols. What we do is we get all of the statues which are currently in the country, and all of the carvings, all of the potential statues that could replace them from museums. We could even have new people carve new ones. We put them, all of them, in the museum. Step one. Step number two, people vote. Every one of us vote which one we think is too racist, which one we don't think is racist, which one we think needs to be more racist, which one looks good, which one we don't like. Have a big cosmetic competition, have the winners, fill our streets. That's my solution, ladies and gentlemen. And, cause, you know, I gotta look out for myself. I volunteer to be the host of Britain's Got Sculptures. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to the Coronacast comedy show. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. GMT +1, doing another episode of the Coronacast. It's going to be every day this week. It'll be at a slightly different time on Wednesday because I'm doing another show as well on that day. But I will let you know tomorrow, and it'll be all over social media what's the time. Thank you so much, all of you who tuned in. You're keeping me sane. I hope I'm making you laugh. And stay safe. To be continued. Deliso, heading out.